This is things I wish I could say in Sunday school. I want to share some thoughts and ideas that are different than what we usually hear. My goal is to be really honest rather than inherently faith-promoting. I hope these ideas may spark some interesting discussions with your friends, families, or classes. Please enjoy. This is the lesson for March 23rd through 29th, Exodus chapters 1 through 6. Today's topic is, how much does God control us and what happens to us? Today we're covering the beginning of the story of Moses. This story has been pretty well covered in films like The Ten Commandments and The Prince of Egypt. In just 6 chapters, we get the story of the first 2 hours of the Ten Commandments movie. It honestly does a good job exploring the depths and nuances of the Moses story, so I don't have much I want to expound on. The discussion points of the lesson manual lean heavily on God being in control, and we are not. That's the theme I want to discuss today. I'll read some of the lesson manual headings. God can work through me to fulfill his purposes. God gives power to people he calls to do his work. The Lord's purposes will be fulfilled in his own time. I bristle a bit at these headings. I believe that our heavenly parents are omnipotent, they are all-powerful, but I don't feel like they're all involved. I feel like they are more like good parents whose kids have grown up and left the house. They care about their kids, but they know the best thing for their children is to navigate life on their own, so they really grow up and learn for themselves. If our heavenly parents are manipulating the world and people for their own purposes, then they are responsible for all the evil that results, as well as the good. The Pharaoh killing the male babies as a form of population control, that would have to be God's hand behind that. Not to mention the killing of all the firstborn sons of Egypt that the Bible does clearly attribute to God. I just can't believe my heavenly parents would actually do those things, which means that I can't believe God is micromanaging us either. We are agents unto ourselves. At the same time, I do believe our heavenly parents care about us deeply. Consider the lilies of the field style. People's beliefs about God directing or intervening fall into a big spectrum. From the deist philosophy of God as a divine watchmaker, where God creates and sets in motion, but that's it, all the way to God help me find my car keys, or the Alcoholics Anonymous idea that we are powerless before our addiction and only through a higher power can we maintain sobriety. I think there is value in examining our own beliefs and seeing where we fall on this spectrum right now in our lives. Personally, I'm fairly close to the deists. I believe that God played a small part in a couple moments of my life, but that's about it. Yet I still want to know my heavenly parents. If I am their child and have the potential to become like them, I want to spend time and energy to understand them, even if I don't believe they will rearrange the chessboard of life in my favor. What personal growth would really result from that anyway? At other points in my life, I have believed that God was more involved, that God had a plan for me specifically. I just had to submit to it. So I could be an instrument in God's hands, kind of like Moses. I really took this story and others like it to heart. Now, I don't believe God is controlling me to that extent. I wouldn't want to do that to my own children when they reach adulthood. I don't want my children to follow a path in life that I chose for them. I want them to choose their own. I just want to love and support them. My kids are not an extension of me. They are each their own person. Now the idea of being an instrument in God's hands just doesn't feel right. I can choose to do what I believe is closest to God's will. But there's a helplessness behind this idea of an instrument that I don't think is godly in any way. Also, it positions God as manipulating people. I want to end today by thinking about who benefits from fostering a dependence on God. I think it's pretty obvious that religious institutions do. They position themselves as the pathway to God. If we want God to work through us or for us to be an instrument for God, we are much more likely to let churches tell us what to think instead of thinking for ourselves. Churches teach dependence on God because it results in dependence on the church. Sometimes they teach dependence on the church too, but dependence on God yields a lot of the same result without the self-serving heavy-handedness of dependence on the church specifically. Maybe churches give lip service to the idea of personal agency, but that message is a footnote compared to the time spent teaching members to be dependent. Churches want to keep members supporting them, so the truer message of personal agency gets downplayed. while church members tell each other stories from the pulpit about God helping them find their car keys. Moses is a great story, but I don't think it's a great illustration of the relationship between us and our heavenly parents. Pretty much every lesson gleaned from the story of Moses is flawed, but it is a great story. And more on Moses next time. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening. Please share with family and friends. Until next time.